Welcome to the sixth and penultimate video about my experience of participating in the 2024 TransContinental Race. This video picks up the story in the city of Slavonski Brod, which is situated on the Sava River, which forms the border between Croatia and Bosnia-Herzegovina. At this point, I've just had my fourth sleep of the race after completing almost 2,000 kilometers of riding. Well, if you're ever down in Slavonski Brod, you're looking for an amazing hotel, then you've got to get to the Art Hotel. Just stunning. People are just amazing. They allowed me to get in this morning at about 4 without any questions. Gave me an amazing room. Have given me some amazing breakfast as well, and set me on my way to the border post. So so that's the Art Hotel. Definitely the one to be recommended for Slavonski Brod. So now this is the last bit of Croatia, and from here I'm going to try and get across the border into Bosnia. So passport's all set. Just need to find the border control, and hopefully I'll wake up sometime along the way. The distance from the hotel to the Croatian-Bosnian border was less than 1 kilometer, and getting through the border controls was uneventful. I had received reports from the race organizers to be aware of wild dogs in Bosnia and the countries to the east. There were riders ahead of me that had been attacked and bitten by these wild dogs. At least one rider had been hospitalized after being knocked off her bicycle by these wild dogs. Anxious about the potential encounters, I decided to stop at the very first settlement in Bosnia to see what I could find to deter these wild dogs if confronted by them. Browsing through the aisles of a general dealership, I came across 2 ingredients that I thought may be super helpful. I found a bottle of Croatian-made vodka, brand name Vigor, and a packet of aromatic turmeric powder. I decided to make a cocktail of these 2 items and fill one of my water bottles so I could spray the mixture at any aggressive dogs. If my deterrent efforts went horribly wrong, at least I could disinfect my wounds with the alcohol, and the turmeric would provide some healthy antioxidants as a disinfectant. I could also drink the cocktail as a general anesthetic if I was badly injured, and at least enjoy my last few moments before being eaten alive. I am going to flavor this. A bit of turmeric. Some of the local race participants that I spoke to carried bear spray for this very same reason. However, I felt that my preparation was superior, as I could drink it if necessary, whereas if they tried to inhale their sprays, they would have a less than pleasant experience. I purchased approximately 5 liters of non-alcoholic drinks to take with me on the next leg of my journey as I headed south to the city of Sarajevo. The heat was mounting and my fluid requirements would be enormous, but exactly how bad things would get, I could never have predicted. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning and it's so incredibly hot. I've drank, this is my second bottle that I'm on, and I've only been riding for 16 kilometers. This is definitely much harder than anticipated. Hopefully I'll come to a shop soon. Can just get some more fluids, refuel. Lots of broken buildings, damaged buildings. Some have got bullet scars of the war with bullet holes in it. But there's also lots of beautiful homes that look like there's hope for renewal and growth again. I lumbered along the banks of the Bosna River, and the river helped to moderate the temperature. Along the way, I passed through some of the most amazingly beautiful towns, with much of its heritage still preserved. Bosnia had survived a devastating civil war in the 1990s, and the bullet and mortar-marked buildings were a testament to the ravages of war. I understand that some of these destroyed buildings were left intentionally as a reminder of the horrors of war, but others advise that the turbulent political and economic situation in the country allowed these reminders to persist. This sign, warning of the presence of landmines that had not yet been cleared, were a stark reminder of just how recent the war was and how this war still impacted the people living in Bosnia today. But these images, such as a gentle water fountain in a town square and a mystical turreted village in the mountains, represented peace and tranquility and hopefully the future of the country. But time waits for no man, and especially not a weary cyclist, and soon darkness fell upon me as I rode into the beautiful turreted city of Sarajevo, hemmed in by the imposing hills which were host to the 1984 Winter Olympics. My friend Mark from Montreal in Quebec had helped me create a route into the city of Sarajevo. This route involved having to navigate many pedestrian tunnels underneath the busy highways. I found a hotel in the city bowl at the foot of the mountain that I was required to climb to the next day. I may have had just 3 hours of sleep before I had to make my way to the start of the secondary mandatory parkour. Welcome to the second parkour. So far we've had the start parkour with the cobbles outside of Roubaix, the first parkour, the crazy heat up into the mountains of Slovenia, and this is the third parkour. This is just outside of the city of Sarajevo in Bosnia, and currently at the ski station, and the ski station is about 1,000 meters above sea level, so we have to get up to that first. I think it was about a 600 and some odd meter climb, and now it's actually to do the parkour. The parkour is a 41 kilometer distance that you have to ride. Some of us have to walk, and you can see the first section of it. It's all on gravel. Now, I'm not good at hills. This is way too heavy, and with the gravel, it just slides up under me. So, I have got the next best thing. I have got a pair of running shoes to help me to get up this section of the parkour. My cycling shoes in the bag, and I'll swap over as soon as I need to. Yesterday was incredibly hot, and I lost a lot of time because of that. I lose a lot of time for many things. One of them is the heat and the hills, and so just trying to make up some time again. And I slept in Sarajevo last night. Got a solid 3 hours sleep, so hopefully I've banked some time to go quite late in tonight. Okay, I'll speak to you hopefully if I get too sleepy too. So if you look at this map and you look at where Sarajevo is, and that's where I'm going to be starting this specific ride, I've ridden from there through the city of Sarajevo to the town of Krupak, and then from Krupak I actually start the climb all the way to the base of Blesnajica. That's where the ski hill is, and that's where the start of the mandatory parkour is. And you can see that from Krupak to the base of Blesnajica, it's a 770 meter elevation gain in just 14 kilometers. Now, there are, of course, lots of ramps of up to 7 to 8 to 10% along the way, but a lot of it is actually gravel as well. I mean, it says here unpaved, but there's a lot of it that was gravel. And that's something that I didn't quite appreciate before I actually got to do this ride. Now, most of it, you'll see that even once I do the mandatory parkour, starting at that elevation, I have to descend all the way down and then climb again to the next checkpoint. And that itself was over some pretty crazy terrain, as you're going to see in the next part of this video. Everybody wants to know exactly how bad is the gravel. Oh, this is the gravel. It's definitely rideable. You have an ATV or truck, ATV. Yep, and you can ride it. With a road bike, these tires. I had hardly left the ski station and ventured just beyond the ski station when it was as though I had passed into a world where time had stood still. I met traditional shepherds with their flocks of sheep casually grazing the sparse vegetation at altitude. And there I met the first of the Bosnian sheepdogs, which they call the tornak, a ferocious-looking beast. But fortunately, I managed to maintain a healthy distance from these dogs and their charges. I had hardly remounted my bicycle and sped up to make haste when I found that I was lost. I had missed a crucial turnoff and was many kilometers off course, and I found myself in the town of Lukoma with its 13 inhabitants. So maybe a town is a bit generous. It's more like a hamlet or even just a large farmyard with individual dwellings. So you can see I went to Lukoma instead of this way. So this is the way that I came. Should have gone up this one, and I went down that way. So I've lost a lot of time. I see somebody's put little arrows here. I don't know who that's for. That's probably not for me. The wind has made this section of the recording inaudible. What I had meant to say was that when I was lost and looking for the checkpoint at Umlumjani, I met this young boy walking along the mountain path. He was probably aged about between 14 and 15 years, and I asked him if this was the checkpoint. He spoke perfect English, and he said to me, no, this was not the checkpoint. He said to me, to get to the checkpoint, you need to climb up this mountain to get there. However, he said it would not be a good idea given that I would have to carry my bicycle with me. So his best advice to me was that I just retrace my steps and go all the way back the way I've come until I see the sign that will take me to the checkpoint. He said it shouldn't take too long. It should take me about 2 hours to get there. He also said that we cycling guys should actually learn to use Google Street Maps, because I was not the first rider to bother him with this specific question, and he was getting pretty tired of having to redirect everybody in the mountains. I eventually returned to the course and found this beautifully paved road that wound its way down the valley through the most picturesque scenery to the checkpoint. Unfortunately, I do not have images of the actual checkpoint. My brain at this stage was not functioning optimally after the extreme mental and physical fatigue. I did capture some of the images of the surroundings, but not very much. At the checkpoint, I filled up with water and bought a meal of scrambled eggs and bread from the guest house hosts and their reluctant children who served as servers. And then I rejoined the race to venture further east to checkpoint number 3. Along the way, I met many other cyclists. We all seemed to concertina at these checkpoints, and this gave us the opportunity to exchange ideas. The route going east from Sarajevo was extremely rugged and remote, with stretches of gravel of more than 70 kilometers and with gradients in excess of 17%. All the cyclists on this section of the route tried to maintain a healthy following distance of at least 100 meters between each of us, so as not to encourage a penalty from our eagle-eyed dot watchers. The mountainous terrain was absolutely spectacular, and I managed to snap a few photos of this scene of my fellow rider descending through the rough. That evening, we all checked into a Soviet-era hotel in the tiny village of Kalinovik, complete with portraits of presidents of the former Yugoslavia. It felt very much like the Last Supper, speaking and eating with other riders, for little did I know that the next day would be my last day in the race, and almost the last day of my life. I will leave that, of course, until next week. Until then, you stay safe and ride safe.